Welcome in, you oddballs. This is the Oddity Shop podcast. Don't be fooled by the new music you just heard.
New music, DJ Khaled. Sorry.
Oh my god. More like DJ Vince and Danny.
Oh, thank you, Vince and Danny. Anyways, this is
Lord.
the Oddity Shop podcast where we tell you creepy, odd, weird, strange, bizarro, disappearance-y, UFO-y stories from around the globe. Your curator, Kara, sitting over here looking all fresh and cute.
Hello.
I'm Zach, the other curator. How the heck are you today?
Well, I'm good because I planned a trip to go see my brother in like 2 weeks or so. And then you and I planned a trip.
Okay, here's the thing. Kara knows I am impulsive as fuck. She hits me on Thursday, right?
Probably Thursday.
Thursday. And goes, we're going to go on a cruise. Do you want to go? I'm like, yeah, I'll have to find somebody else to go with me. Blah, 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 blah. Perfect. We have to book it by Saturday for this deal. My Polish heart. I'm like, I'm not going to miss a deal. I remember literally 4 days ago on Facebook, Carmela, one of my best friends, had tagged me in a post saying, oh, it was a memory of our cruise from like 8 years ago. And she goes, when's our next trip? I'm like,
that was 8 years ago? Yes.
2016, dude. Yeah.
Wow. Holy shit.
I know. I don't understand it.
Yeah, it was.
So I text Carmela. I'm like, boats, Mexico, you in? She goes, give me a little more context. I was like, cruise. She goes, down. That was it. That was it.
This started as kind of like a joke between my husband and one of our mutual coworkers and his new fiance of like, let's all go on a cruise, like just kind of joking around. And then it kind of turned into like actually them looking up stuff and like texting each other. And then all of a sudden it was like, all right, well, we're all four going on a cruise. And I was like, well, I kind of want Zach to go. And then my husband's like, yeah, we should ask Zach. So then I asked Zach last minute because I, again, thought that this was kind of a joke conversation. And then all of a sudden they were telling me on Thursday when I texted Zach, we're ordering tomorrow, Friday, because we have to order by Saturday. I'm like, what the fuck?
And you and me, let's be honest. We need to ruminate on things for like a week before we make a decision. We're like, all right, we're doing it.
So then the funny thing is that today Zach calls my husband and says, okay, I'm going to do it. Where's your room? Like I'm ordering it. I'm going to try to surprise Kara. This is not until November. We all know Zach cannot hold a secret from me. We're still in May when we record this. We're in May.
I can't even buy somebody a gift without like immediately wanting to tell them.
He always wants to ruin gifts that he gets for me. There's no damn way. You know what Aaron says the second I got home? He's like, so did Zach call you? I said he instantly hung up with you and called me.
Because I ended my phone call with him is, don't tell your wife. I think I'm going to surprise her. I hung up. I waited about 27 seconds. And then I called Kara. I'm like, I'm going. Okay.
Anyway.
Other news. I have two things for you.
Okay.
One, I know I already told you this, but I'm still super pumped about it. If you guys remember back in episode 25, I talked about wanting to buy a book called Fringeology. And it was super expensive online.
Yes.
A couple weeks ago, I had walked into a pop-up used bookstore sale. And I found it.
You told me about it. Stop it right now. You did not tell me that, though.
I found it. I bought it for $7.
Shut up. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So I now have that. That'll be my vacation book for next week.
Okay. Remind me again. What was...
That was the Calls from Beyond the Grave episode.
Okay. Wow, that's crazy. That's awesome.
Super excited about that. The other thing, I want to give a little shout out to a listener named Becky who reached out to us with the sweetest email. Okay.
I wanted to post it on our socials, but then I didn't know if I was allowed to, so I didn't.
Just like we love doing the podcast and we love the listeners that we have, but 90% of this is just us like yelling at you guys and never hear anything. And Becky sent us just the messages about, she's like, just sending some love from a rando friend. Oh my God, let me start that sentence over. Sending some love from a rando friend. Sending some love from a rando fan. And she's like, I listen often. I love you guys. And she loves that like we pick at each other and like question each other.
She loves our banter.
But yeah, no, like Becky, thank you for that. We love hearing from you guys. And honestly, even if you hate us, reach out. We like to hear it.
No, it was definitely super cute and super refreshing. I was like at work and I was like, oh my God, that's so sweet.
With that being said,
so thank you.
Are you ready for a question?
Yes.
Okay.
No, but yes.
If you saw a UFO actively crashing Would you run towards it or away from it?
I would really, really like to say that I would go to... Actually, I think I might actually go towards it. I was going to say, I would like to say that I had the... confidence isn't the word. What's the word I'm thinking for? Bravery, sure, whatever. To go and look at it. Like, I'd like to think I would. But then I'm thinking about it, and I actually think that I would. Because what if they were like nice little aliens that needed saving and I could save them and then they could take me away with them?
Here's the thing. What I know about you enough is that you wouldn't go, but you would convince somebody in your circle, likely me, to go.
Well, I would probably go with you then.
You might go with me.
Okay, so yeah, I'm going.
All right. So in the shop for you today, I have the origin story that I don't know if you know it or not. I know this creature very well, but I did not know the origin story.
What is it?
So we are going back in time to the early fall of the early 1950s.
Okay.
So September 12th, 1952, two brothers, Edward and Freddie May, are playing with their buddies, Neil Nunley and Tommy Heyer.
Okay. Why does Tommy Heyer sound familiar?
I meant to look up Heyer. Heyer was, Mary Heyer was the name of the journalist of the Mothman.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Might be relation. So the four kids are playing in the front lawn of their elementary school. They're playing football. The elementary school was named after the city that it was in. So they were playing in front of the Flatwoods Elementary School.
Oh, yeah, I do. Okay. I'm so excited.
So we're in West Virginia, obviously.
Okay, yes.
And around 7:15 at night, the four boys all notice something in the sky.
Mm-hmm.
They see what appears to be a bright object streaking across the sky, and they said it looked like a falling object that was on fire.
Yeah.
So as it streaks by, it appears to crash into the side of a hill, which was on the property that belonged to G. Bailey Fisher. It was on G. Bailey Fisher's farm. These kids are amped, right? They see something falling. They're like, we need to go check that out. So they head off as quickly as they can. As they are heading over to the farm.
Wait, with their dog, right?
Hold on. They pass by the Mays' home. So Edward and Freddie's home. They stop home and they decide to tell your mom, like, hey, Mom, we just saw this thing. We want to go over here. And Kathy does what any great mother would do in this situation, which is not tell the boys to not believe what they saw and to just chill out.
Right.
No. She grabs the dog. She calls 16-year-old Jean Lemon, who was a National Guardsman.
I love this woman.
So I love her. I love Kathleen. So, or Kathy for short.
This does give me like Denise and Lynn vibes because they both would be like, all right.
Oh, for sure. If I went home and said, Mom, I just saw a UFO crash, she'd be like, let's go get the cats.
My mom would be like, all right, let's check it out.
Right?
Yeah, get the cats.
So anyways, Jean, Kathy, the dog, and the four boys all start heading over to the farm. Now, according to Kathleen, this is my favorite part of this, is that they had to climb a quite sizable fence to get onto the farm, which I love that this mom's just like, all right, kids, we're trespassing. Let's go.
Yeah. And then wasn't it kind of like a steep hill that they had to go up to? It was like pretty treacherous.
Because like, remember, they saw what appeared to be the UFO crashing into the hill. So it's like they have to go up a pretty steep. Yeah. So they start climbing the hill.
I love this woman so much.
Now they rushed really quickly to head out. So they only grabbed one flashlight. And that flashlight was being held by Gene. Obviously, you know, he's kind of like
Coast Guard.
National Guard.
Oh,
not Coast Guard.
National Guard.
Yes.
My bad. Whatever. Okay,
so they're starting to crest the hill, and now it's really kind of important to note that their stories all are not quite the same from this point on.
Yeah.
So Neil Nunley, one of the kids, he recounts seeing a pulsing red light when they get up to the top of the hill in the same area that they thought the UFO would be. Now, nobody else sees this light the first time they tell the story. But what happens next, they all do agree on. So they get to the top of the hill. Neil is seeing this light. Everyone else is kind of like looking around. And Gene starts to scan the top of the hill with his flashlight. And for just a few brief seconds, they hit the flashlight on the monster. So what happened first is they see some glowing eyes. They pan the flashlight. And as soon as the flashlight hits it, they all like become fucking terrified.
Yeah.
So before all hell breaks loose, they get a good glimpse. All right. So once again, this sighting only lasts 3 to 4 seconds at most. They're in the pitch dark. They only have one flashlight.
Quick.
Now, everyone's story varies slightly, though. So, for height, we have a mention of a creature being anywhere from 7 feet tall to 10 feet tall to 14 feet tall to 17 feet tall and back to 10 feet tall again.
We say this, though, like it's so hard to justify measurements, especially at a distance. And most of these,
they were only about 6 to 10 feet away.
But they're in the dark with only one flashlight, and half of this little crew are children.
True.
So they just look at from what the height of them, like what anything taller is like 12 feet. So like,
what they do agree on is the head of this thing, right? So it's an orangish head with glowing eyes that has a hood around it that's like in the shape of a spade from a deck of cards.
Yeah.
The face was round.
Strange.
Reddish in color with, like I said, glowing orange eyes. Now the body appears to be levitating off the ground, and it's wearing whatever it's wearing is dark, but it could be green, black, metallic, or a dress, depending on which one in the group you ask. Kathleen specifically mentions being able to see like folds in the fabric of like, it looks like not a tunic, not a dress, but it's like
a
if
cloak.
You imagine a shirt and a skirt, but it was all one piece.
Yeah, it's like a long, like drapey cloak.
Yes. Now its arms, very thin with twisted claws at the end. Now, all the members did describe there being either like a mist or a disgusting sulfury smell in the air that almost seemed like it was coming from like the creature and was just hanging in the area. Mind you, this whole thing lasts 3 to 4 seconds because as soon as they hit it with the flashlight, it hisses super loudly, and then remember it's levitating. It glides toward them with its claws outstretched, making a horrendous sound. Okay, everyone shits their pants, basically. Gene falls backwards. He hits the ground. Flashlights off the creature. Everyone takes off. They start running back towards home. Now,
I'm sorry. So funny. Like these little kids, mom, dog, and this 16-year-old boy that just got suckered into this are all like fucking, it's like mayhem breaks out.
It gives me almost like Stand By Me vibes. Like the movie, like 4 kids hear of the body, right? And they're like, we're going to go find this body. It's the same thing. Like we saw a UFO crash. We're going to go investigate.
Yeah. Or I know you didn't really watch, but it gives me very Stranger Things vibes.
I could see that too. Yeah.
Kind of the premise of Stranger Things.
I watched season 1, so yes.
Yeah, it's kind of like the premise of that, but cute and hilarious.
They get home. Now, everyone gets a little bit sick. Gene is the worst. He says he has throat irritation, vomiting, nausea, which persisted for days. One of the younger kids, he has trouble sleeping. I think it's Neil. And he's like suffering convulsions at night. But like all of them aren't feeling quite right.
Yeah.
So Gene, Lemon, and Kathleen immediately report the incident to the local sheriff, which, funny enough, they're already out with the sheriff and the deputy are out investigating the same general area because they were getting reports of a crashed aircraft in the area. I don't know why that was so hard to say.
Okay,
but their search doesn't turn up anything.
Justifies their claims of what they saw, though, in a way.
True. The police head out to the next morning to the same hill that our little motley crew was at the night before.
I wonder what their crew name is. Like, what's their little gang name?
I know.
I'm going to think about it.
Spoiler alert, the Flatwoods Monster Gang. No, I don't know.
No, it's got to be like...
For anybody who didn't put it together, we're talking about the Flatwoods Monster. Anyways, what the cops do find on the hill is 2 big skid marks. And inside of that was a substance that was like gummy, tar-like material.
Ooh.
But they don't find anything else. So...
What year is this again?
This 50s? Is 52.
52.
So it's a few years really before the Mothman. It's the same area. I mean, it's West Virginia, Appalachians, probably like 40 or 50 miles from... In fact, it's where I'll be staying in West Virginia.
I'm so excited.
But like, just like what happens with Mothman, right, is because they went to the cops, they also went to the news, and this like news of a monster in West Virginia takes off like crazy. So it gets picked up by local newspapers, then the radio, it spreads all over Braxton County, which is the area where Flatwoods, the city, is located. And then it spreads really quickly throughout the entire country. Like news sightings of this monster.
Do you ever think about this? This is like the perfect, sorry to like interrupt, but this is like the perfect scenario to think about this. Do you ever think about how there's nothing like in our time right now, you and I, there's nothing that we haven't heard of, right? Because everything is like at the touch of our fingertips. So we've literally heard about everything and like nothing really surprises you because you've heard of everything. But can you imagine being in a time that that's not a thing?
Right. Where like social media doesn't exist and all of a sudden the news of
and
a
just
fucking
like,
monster.
Right. And like in the 50s, I'm sure a lot of like reliancy was on the like the radio stations still and things like that. Like,
it took the media by storm.
Can you freaking, that would be insane. Because now we just hear all kinds of crazy shit every day about things we ignore.
And horrifying
this
shit.
Has gotta be, this would be mind blowing.
So all these media sources start to name it. They call it the Flatwoods Monster, the Phantom of Braxton County, or for short, Braxxie.
That's really cute.
So anyways, the Flatwoods Monster legend is now born. That story of like the 4 kids finding them, super popularized. But did you know there's 2 other sightings around the exact same time of the Flatwoods Monster?
I feel like I do, but I'm making that up. But either way, you're going to tell me, so.
I am. So the same night that this happened, Audra Harper and her friend are walking through the woods near Heaters, West Virginia, which is about like 5 miles south of Flatwoods. And they decide to take a shortcut through the forest, which, hello, any of our listeners who also listen to My Favorite Murder, stay out of the forest, okay? Like, let's heed the warning.
Nah, you're not gonna.
Oh, I was in the forest today, let's be honest.
Right.
So a short way, though, into their trip, they notice... Oh, actually, here's the best part. They were taking a shortcut through the forest to get to a store because their driveway was so rutted that they couldn't get their car out. So they're like, we're going to walk. And instead of taking the road, they're like, we're going to find a shortcut through the woods.
Oh,
I imagine the store they were going to was the liquor store. That's just me. I don't know, but
going to say that feels like liquor store vibes.
Right. So a short way into their shortcut, they notice a fireball on one of the hills far away from where they were like passing through the woods. And at first, Audra's like, oh, one of the neighbors must be like fox chasing, which is where they, basically hunt and kill foxes so that it doesn't mess with their livestock.
And I'm sorry, this was on the same day.
Same day, same evening.
Okay.
So something tells her, though, like, no, like, take another look. So she looks back. The fireball that she had noticed is gone. And in its place is a large man-shaped creature with claws and similar clothes to what the others saw. But she said it was like a reptilian-esque face, about 10 to 14 feet tall. Okay, they freak out when they look back and they see this creature standing where a fireball was. They take off running. The following day, so this would be September 13th, 1952.
Okay.
In the town of, and I love this, Strange Creek,
Fitting.
Which is only 20 miles south of Flatwoods, George and Edith Snitkowski.
Okay.
Snitowski. Okay. They're out for a drive late at night with their toddler.
Mr. Wazowski.
Right. They're still in Braxton County.
Okay.
Right at the border of it. So they're driving. It's kind of late at night. All of a sudden, their vehicle just shuts off, dies. So George tries a couple times to get it started, but it just won't. So he gets back in the car, and him and Edith are like, okay, what do we do? We're on a deserted road. It's the middle of the night. Like, how are we getting out of this mess? About that same time, their child starts to cry, and they start to smell a foul, sulfury smell.
Oh, yikes.
Then a bright light appears off to the side in the woods. They turn their head to look to it, and a 10-foot tall creature is hovering right in front of their vehicle now, illuminated by this light in the woods.
Mm-hmm.
They say the same thing, dress like, it's levitating. Now, the difference here, though, is there's no spade-shaped hood on its head.
Okay.
They just describe a reptilian and bony face.
Okay, well, maybe he took his hood off.
That then takes its claws, drags it across the hood of their car before floating off into the woods on the other side of the road. Literally, as soon as this thing is out of sight, their car starts.
Yeah, like the moral of the story is that like Flatwoods Monster just doesn't really want to be bothered. Like, just kind of leave me be.
Leave him be. If you crash here, he's scared. He doesn't want to deal with you or her.
Whatever
Them.
they prefer. Them. Yeah, and I wonder if there was more than one.
Well, that's kind of the thing, right? So these are the only like 3 original true sightings of the Flatwoods Monster. Now, there's others in the Appalachian area who claim to see him or smell him or like get signs. But let's just be for real for like a second. There's something fucking weird going on in West Virginia.
Girl, you don't tell me twice.
There's just like stories of hundreds of cryptids out there. Whatever. Okay. So what we do know, though, is like much like the Mothman or the night crawlers, even though only 3 people saw this thing originally, like the Flatwoods Monster becomes so famous. Thank you. I need you to feed me the words tonight. That like he is just a pop culture cryptid icon now.
I think they are cute.
One of the weirdest looking cryptids, I will give it that.
But I kind of like their little outfit and their little like branchy little arms.
I love it. I also, after researching, I don't know if I believe in him.
No!
I know. I knew you were going to be upset with that. We'll get to it. But let's start first. So in the 50s still, the story is obviously really big. It catches the attention of UFO investigator and researcher, none other than Gray Barker, who is, I don't know if did you ever read the Mothman Prophecies?
I started it on Audible and it's hard.
Gray Barker, it's a difficult read because it's just all over the place. But Gray Barker is the other investigator who's looking into Mothman. He's also the man who like coins the phrase Men in Black. So he's a super famous guy.
Yeah.
He's actually, it's in the late 50s that he kind of gets on the Flatwoods Monster train. He's actually in West Virginia to look into the Mothman. But he's like, you know what? I'm going to investigate and interview all the people who are involved with the Flatwoods Monster.
Yeah, why not?
So he interviews them. He actually publishes a book in 1956 talking about it. It's his like earliest UFO writing. So it really just kind of helps solidify that the Flatwoods Monster is now in like pop culture lore, right?
Okay.
Gray Barker's writing about it, whatever. But
he doesn't believe in it?
He's kind of notes. So his whole thing, right, is I am not setting out to tell people that they should believe or shouldn't believe. I'm just going to interview and present the facts. Yeah. That's for everybody else.
It's a good way to look at it.
Yes. Now on to the part you're going to hate, right? In the year 2000, based on the writings of Gray Barker, who kind of suspects that because everyone's story is slightly inconsistent, that things might not be fully truthful, a man by the name of Joe Nickel from the, I love this, Committee for Skeptical Inquiry, short CSI. He's like, I'm going to do some research into this. He interviews the original 4, Gene and Kathy, so the 4 kids. And he finds that like that interview compared to their original and throughout the years, actually like every time they recount the story, it differs quite vastly to the clothes, to the shape of the head, whether there was this pulsing red light, what the height was. Like there's just some. Now the thing is, right, it was over in about 5 seconds.
Right. And they were all kids, really.
Yeah, their stories change, whatever. So he kind of digs into it and he kind of gets caught on them getting sick. And then the smell of this gas, which at first Nichols like, well, this is mustard gas. You're getting sick. You're having convulsions, blah, 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 blah.
Oh.
So he goes out to the hill and finds that there is a foul smelling grass that grows in the area that actually gives off most of the smell that they were explaining.
Okay. Does it make you hallucinate?
He also finds records from the same evening in 1952 that there was widely reported a meteor in the area. Tons and tons of people saw and reported the meteor, which might explain this, why they call the cops over a plane crash, why the kids thought they saw a burning object in the sky.
Maybe they just thought that it was a meteor.
I told you you're going to hate this whole part.
Also, that would be a really great if I were a creature, alien, whatever, traveling on a ship. Yeah, I would probably come and crash down during a meteor.
Okay.
Thing.
So what about the skid marks and the gummy deposit?
I don't really care. What if he could have been in the meteor? He could have been right in the fucking meteor.
So Joe Nickel comes across a man named Max Lockard, who the day after he heard the stories, took his 1942 Chevy pickup truck up to the hill. It was a wet time of year.
Okay.
And his truck left the skid marks and was also leaking oil.
Okay. What is that? What do I care about that?
That's fine. So it explains a lot of what's going on around the Flatwoods Monster, but not the monster itself.
Because that's all just happenstance.
Because it's an owl.
No, it's not.
So Nickel believes that what the kids saw was an owl, and here's why.
That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Get off of my screen.
It's not, though. So barn owls, what was that? The movie The Messengers or something, where they were saying barn owls were aliens. They have a very human-esque face that's kind of pointed. The females are orange in color, and if they have a nest in a tree, would protect their young at all costs. Now, when a barn owl is sitting on a tree branch, its talons would be outstretched like twisted claws on the branch. And if it's dark outside, a bush or another tree in the distance behind it would look like a skirt flowing down that it was hanging from. So Nickel says it's probably a barn owl in the dark that was protecting its young, hissed and flew at the kids, causing them to run away. When asked why they would confuse the two, he talks about confirmation bias, which is a strong suit. Confirmation bias means you're going out to look for something with an idea in your head, so your brain finds that. They thought they were looking for an alien. They see a barn owl in the woods for 2 seconds. Eyes would glow. It has a weird face. Hit it with a flashlight. It swoops at them. Boom, we saw the creature.
I'm just being silent over here because I'm angry.
I literally wrote in my notes, you're going to be angry at this part. I know. Now, what I do like about Joe Nickel is he was really careful to state that he doesn't believe the incident was a hoax. He says that the boys and Mrs. May did in fact see something that terrified them. They didn't know what it was. Barn owls are nocturnal, and it's likely that none of them had seen something close up. So he doesn't say that they're doing this to make a story, that they actually really believe.
I can appreciate that, but...
And, we have to give him props because anything in this should be debunked if it can be.
This is not an owl.
For anybody who can't see, none of you guys can see. She's holding up the print of the Flatwoods Monster that I bought her a few months ago because I know she loves this thing.
It's not an owl.
He does go on to say, I don't laugh at people for just believing something, particularly if it's something they've seen. What I do is try to defend them if I can, but I also have to debunk it.
Here's the thing. I greatly appreciate his views and how he, says whatever. Because I do think that if they're not trying to make it a hoax, let's not make them make it out that they were faking this. So I do appreciate that. I also appreciate very much how he is I'm not trying to steer anybody either fucking way about anything.
Mm-hmm.
Mothman this, you believe or don't believe, I don't really care. I'm just doing facts. So I appreciate that. I get it. But it's not a fucking owl. Because
I knew that was coming. So the next part of my notes is, after Kara tries to defend the Flatwoods Monster, it definitely, though, I appreciate the trying to debunk. We need that in everything, right? And it definitely, Nickel's explanation really could truly describe things, but what we're forgetting about is that there's 2 other sightings the same night.
Well, that's also what I was gonna say.
Give the kids
are very
way more credence. Yeah.
So what does he say about those? Those are fucking owls too?
He really didn't. So those 2 here's why I'm back and forth on that, right? Those 2 stories weren't actually reported at the same time. They were reported after the story started to take off.
Okay.
And then they reported it. Which on one side could be, we just were afraid.
Like they could.
Right. And now we can. On the other side, it's we're trying to get in on it. So there's totally 2 camps here, right? One group that believes, one group that doesn't. I know what side you're on. Yeah. And honestly, I'm really torn between believing this one or not. What we do know, though, is Flatwoods Monster is now still one of the most famous cryptids. I don't know why I can't say famous tonight. Of all time. So I found a quote on one of the articles I was reading that I really, really liked. And it said, although the monster has not been seen since the original incident in 1952, the impact on our rural community has been huge. Sometimes if you stand outside at night, you can almost feel it. Like the monster left a gift from the stars for us, and we just haven't quite found it yet.
See, it did ride the meteor in, and it left a gift.
It could go either way. I'm a little more skeptical on this one, but whether you believe it or not, the legend is here to stay. The fans of the Flatwood Monster are here to stay. So if you do want to head out to West Virginia, there's a couple options for you to have some experiences. One, the town like sign for the Flatwood says Home of the Green Monster, which I love.
It.
There is the Flatwoods Monster Museum. It has a ton. I am going to go. Yep. It's literally like 20 minutes from where we're staying. So they have like a bunch of Braxxie, Flatwood Monster stuff, but they also have a lot of other cryptid things. Or have you heard of the Flatwood Monster chairs?
No.
Okay, this is like the best thing ever. So in 2014, the Braxton County Convention and Visitors Bureau decided like, we want to lean into this legend and bring people like to Braxton County and make it a tourist stop. Okay. So they commissioned these giant thrones in the shape of Braxxie to be put across the county. They're all 10 feet tall. Of course, right? And my God. Each one has a unique paint job based on the different descriptions. So they're like
your typical large, weird, touristy chairs that people are like always taking pictures, like for no reason, but they're Flatwoods Monster. That is the cutest thing ever. You need to find one.
They're also put in front of places that like tourists would want to go. So like one's in front of a haunted hotel, or like it's almost like this like treasure hunt. Now it's called because there's so many people who don't believe, right? They have a game called the Free Braxxie game, where the whole like the Visitors Bureau Convention Committee has made it like, okay, so the Men in Black have now descended upon the county, and they are trying to make everybody actually not believe. So the whole story of the barn owl and all this stuff is actually made up by the Men in Black to get you to not believe in the legend of the monster.
Probably.
So the only way to keep his memory alive and to like celebrate him and not let the Men in Black win is to visit every chair and take a picture at each one.
How many chairs are there?
There's 5. Okay. And you have to take a picture and post like hashtag Free Braxxie at all of them.
Are you going to do it?
I mean, I have to sit in at least one of them.
You have to find all 5.
I know. I'm going to try. I don't. If it was just me, I would.
I know.
We have to do some normal people things for Julia, so I can't take her on like a cryptid hunt. But darn. I will try to free Braxxie and, not let the Men in Black win by convincing us all he doesn't exist.
Even though you don't even believe anymore.
I told you, I'm really torn because when you look at drawings of it and a barn owl, like I can see how they could be. It's a very good theory to debunk more so than most of the theories we usually get on debunking cryptids. This one I could actually see happening.
It sounds wild, but if you look up a picture, and I can actually post this print when I do our socials, but when you look up a picture, I guess I can see where the owl theory makes the most sense. And so to your point, it makes way more sense than the Mothman theories of
Remember, it is the middle of the night, and they only hit it with a flashlight for 2 seconds.
No, it's not 10 feet tall.
It's the other people.
But owls do like hiss. Yeah, no, it is. Stop it. Stop making me not believe.
It's the Men in Black making you not believe. But that for you is the origination of the
origination?
Flatwoods Monster.
The orientation?
No, the origination. That's the origin story of...
What's orientation?
That's when you're trying to find things. This is the origination of the legend.
Is origination a word? I believe you, but I don't know if I've ever heard it. I believe you, because I'm always wrong.
I'm second guessing myself. Yeah, origination, according to Google, the beginning or creation of something.
I guess I've never heard anyone say the origination, because I guess why would I?
Second guess myself.
I think people just say the origin of. origin story.
Well, this is the origin of the legend of the Flatwoods Monster.
All right, good job.
This is the debunking of and the current things you can do to free Braxxie.
I still believe. So
I knew you would. That's why I wrote in my notes that you were going to be angry.
If you guys believe, wait, I got to think about this. If you don't believe, you can leave an owl emoji.
Or comment hoot hoot.
And if you do believe, is there a meteor emoji? Like a star or something? Leave one of those on the post.
On whatever our most recent post is.
Okay. That's
all right.
Owl if you don't believe, star or meteor if you do. Okay.
Perfect.
My cramps are cramping. I gotta
go. We gotta close the shop up. All right. How are we doing it today? What do the people need to do to let us go home?
I just told them owl or star, meteor.
What are the other things that they have to do?
Oh, just like us, love us, continue to support us, listen to us. We appreciate it. We still don't understand why, but we appreciate you. And ooh, do you hear my stomach? Okay, I gotta go. But most importantly, creep it real, yeah, balls.
Goodbye.
Bye.